Hey, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Internet Friends, the episode where one of us gets kidnapped by a Canadian. And you have to guess
Who is
which
it?
one. Pick me, pick
Oh
me,
boy.
pick me, pick me, pick me.
I'm not going back, and you can't make me.
I thought
Well, no,
Seth
it's
was
gotta be
banned.
you.
Yeah.
We
I
tried to
do
offer,
get detained at customs every single time.
we did try to offer Brie as a sacrifice, but they were just like, yeah, we have enough blue-haired girls in Canada. Sorry, we're full.
Yeah.
Especially where I am.
Anyways, in case anybody hasn't noticed, we have Megan back today.
Hey.
We mentioned it at the end of the show last episode that, Megan was coming back, and we decided we were going to give her the opportunity to spend time with us again, because I guess we like her. I don't know, Steph, Brie is...
Mary's still out, but yeah.
We'll keep pushing that down.
Yes.
Yeah. Just kick that can down the road.
Absolutely.
Anyways, so starting on our basic housekeeping, how's everybody been?
Cute.
Pretty good. Hot as hell again,
Yeah.
but good.
I'll say. Oh, I mean,
Yeah, I think
Oh,
North
go on.
North America's been in a heat wave pretty hardcore lately. I don't know how it is where you guys are, but I know that we're all in different spots, but it seems like it's all consistent. Like, we're on fire?
Yes. I had to pull out an AC, and we don't usually use those around here. It's like maybe 1 week out of the year. So the fact it's going to be 2-3 months of this is kind of crazy.
But
What's
it's
the
still
temperature
the
by you?
coldest summer for the rest of your life.
So this is the thing. I'm going to be that terrible Canadian that doesn't know how to put it into Fahrenheit.
I know I don't want you to.
I know. It's so we went from about 16 being the average to 30.
I was-
28.
Oh, okay.
I was about to say, my
Yeah.
understanding is from
Okay.
Celsius is that 30 is basically trying to kill you.
Yeah, anything above 25 is bad for me. So
Give us crap about the whole imperial versus metric system all you want. At least Fahrenheit is just 100 is pretty bad and 0 is pretty bad. Everything in between there is varying degrees. I feel like it makes sense.
I think so. It's 90 here. It's hot as fuck. So,
But
but it's okay, guys. Climate change isn't real. It's fine.
Don't expect me
Yeah,
to
I
explain
don't
you
know.
the conversion between a foot, a yard, and a mile.
who got
Oh,
it?
kilometers? Shut the hell up. I don't know what that means. My partner does that all the time.
I'm from the part of Canada we use time to measure distance. It is not kilometers. It's like, oh yeah, it's like 6 hours. Don't worry about it.
Look, I'm frustrated when I have to work on my truck or my motorcycle and I have to switch between my metric tools and my standard tools. Okay, what's the difference between a 5/8 and a 10 millimeter? Also, where's my 10 millimeter?
I go off of the does it fit? All right, that's what I'm using.
As does everybody. Every mechanic I've ever known actually is just does this one work? Does this one?
That's why you have multiple.
Yeah.
Well, especially because I've changed vehicles in the last year, so now I'm oh crap, I don't know which thing is where and where everything is supposed to be. I have to relearn everything. It's even more
Joy.
annoying because I just did some refurbishing work on my guitar. It was just kind of crap. The hell? What size is this supposed to be?
Yeah. And most imports are metric.
Yeah.
It's
It has been
frustrating.
nice though because it's it literally is basically a brand.
That's very nice. It looks very pretty.
Yeah. Now I want to change out the fretboard with an actual Fender neck. But
Okay.
it plays fine. It's just one of those things now that I've put money into it. More, which is very financially
Yeah.
responsible of me.
I've got that going with the guitar right now.
Which one?
This one.
Oh yes. I remember her.
Yeah. I thought I hated it. Turns out I love it.
I love that.
As most musicians tend to find.
Mm-hmm.
Like enemies to lovers. I love that. It's a good trope.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That is the truest thing for any project I've ever worked on. It's just I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Oh, you're amazing. And I hate you
Like
again.
face it.
Just like every relationship I've been in.
Healthy.
Megan, how you've been? We haven't seen you in a little over 2 months now.
A little bit. Good. Going to a much chiller job position next week, so I'm excited for a little bit of a relax before hopefully, getting some time off. And then, just, avoiding everything to do with most media cycles at this point.
Fair.
That's the vibe. But congratulations on the new gig.
Thanks.
I've had like 7 interviews, all of them going nowhere in the last year, so.
Yeah, it's not super fun job hunting right now.
It really is.
No. It is not.
Anyways, so our homework assignment was actually assigned by Megan this week. So Megan is in charge of the next segment. So Megan, tell us about your homework.
So I asked everybody to watch Interview with the Vampire, the 1990. Oh, no, wait, now
94.
I forgot the year. 94. Okay, perfect. I was like, yes, 94 or 92, because I always do that with that
I
one.
thought it was 92 when I first watched it.
Yeah.
Like, what year did this come out? I was like, oh, it was actually 94. Okay. But that's that era.
Exactly. It's like that classic, we have way too much money as a studio. We're just going to make a movie on this book property as the rights are about to expire.
Classic Warner Brothers.
Completely. And that is, how we got this movie and all the actors that eventually are in it, because there's a bunch of recasts, and Anne Rice hated most of the decisions that were made.
Which, in fairness, if like a studio was making anything off of a property I read, I would basically hate everything too.
Yeah. But yeah.
Nice. So I took actual notes.
Yeah.
One note that sticks out to me here is Lestat sucks.
Yes.
Really? Because you're correct, but I was thinking the entire movie was just like, man, Louis sucks.
Well, yeah,
Also,
it's
yes.
real hard to feel sympathetic for the slave owner.
Yeah,
I gotta be real there.
Absolutely. The entire
I
movie.
forgot about that when I watched this. I said, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
In fairness, watching a plantation burn is like probably like the best like visual scene I watch all year.
Yeah.
There is an obsession with fire in this movie and Louis, and it's amazing. It's just like, okay, we're just burning everything to the ground.
Yeah, it's a theme. And I will say the fact that, this is an era where basically they leaned heavily into practical effects and like actual sets that they had and not just like green screen backgrounds and everything. It's just like, it's really fun to actually watch them do like practical fire effects on these sets where you're just like, oh, this like basically this is the last thing they had to film because after this is over, it's gone. Not usable anymore.
Yeah. Well, and there's also, because back in the day, I had this on VHS, and at the very end of it, they had where they showed how they did a lot of the special and practical effects and the puppetry and things. And there's the scene where Lestat gets axed by Claudia. And there's a portion of it where it's half of Tom Cruise's torso through the floorboard, and the rest is animatronics pumping blood into the ground. And then they cut back to the fully animatronic body of Tom Cruise. So things like that, they wouldn't do anymore. It would just be, okay, let's throw a CGI copy or a paste over of his face or something.
Right. I will say this is probably the most theater kid movie I've ever watched, and that's
He's
coming
very
from
theater kid.
And this is coming from somebody who married a theater kid, so like,
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Another note I have is Brad Pitt is hotter than Tom Cruise, and then a page later, Antonio Banderas is the hottest.
Yes, correct.
No question. Although that is a perfect list.
I will accept no arguments to this point. This is just factually correct. As a matter of fact, like I forgot Antonio Banderas was in this, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's where the sex appeal was this whole movie. Got it.
Super crazy how a lot of these guys were just in the start of their sex craze, like fandom phase, because it's Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Antonio Banderas, and Christian Slater.
Right.
And
And Christian Slater's like barely in this movie.
Barely, but he was still like my number one crush in this movie the whole
but
time.
that's also my thing. It's just like this was actually probably peak Christian Slater at the time. Like everybody else is like just on the come up. So Christian Slater was like, he was doing stuff back in the 80s, like in Heathers and everything else, where they're just kind of like Christian Slater was the eye candy, if you know it.
Oh yeah. And it's just crazy too because almost none of them match Anne Rice's descriptions of the books, which is why she got so angry
Yeah.
about the casting constantly. I think the only one she really kind of signed off on was Brad Pitt and Kirsten Dunst eventually.
Yeah.
And everybody else, she was like, no, this is
What-
awful.
One thing I picked up on was just kind of like, it's really funny how these are supposed to be like, you know, Creole, you know, French American things. Like, none of them have accents.
No.
They're all
Could you
just speaking
imagine?
in like normal neutral accents, and it's just kind of like, this is like really
Tom Cruise
like
trying
we just
to do
got
a
done
French
watching
accent.
like we just got done watching X-Men 97 and like hearing Gambit talking his accent, and like no one is even attempting to try to do a Creole accent. It's just like, this is a really missed opportunity on this.
Completely. I think it's kind of weird. I think Kirsten Dunst is the closest to trying to do one, and she's 12 when they filmed
Yeah, no,
this.
child actor Kristen Dunst, like, and Emily even said this when she came in, because it was around like after her turn is when Emily came home and started watching with this, and she's just like, God, I love Kristen Dunst, and like just like it's just like, oh yeah, no, she's fucking killing it, like especially at such a young age. I also will say, you know, Tom Cruise is Tom Cruising the fuck out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How I picture him in real life. I'm like, oh no, this is him as Tom Cruise.
This is the movie where basically he's like, man, Tom Cruise really knows how to play a psychopath. And then we later found out, it's like, oh, it's because he is a psychopath. It's this and his role in Tropic Thunder are like the two roles where I go, it's just like, that's just Tom Cruise fucking Tom Cruising right now.
Yeah. It's when he gets to just be like, they're just like, just do what you want, see where it goes. And he's just like, okay, let's 11 this and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, those are some of the positive notes. I do find it very interesting. I didn't know a lot about the Anne Rice and her opinion stuff on it. Obviously, Megan, you're the expert on this. But it is interesting because Anne Rice is so central to how we view vampires in media today.
Completely.
And, you know, and it seems very odd that, you know, for such a big property to not really kind of like match up with the vision that basically kind of odd. And
Yeah.
but like also I kind of will say this movie is kind of a last of a very, you know, dying breed of like the classical representation of vampires, because vampires have changed so much in media since this movie has been released.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that there's a lot of things people don't realize pull from this. Like the original What We Do from the Shadow, or What We Do in the Shadows short is subtitled, you know, interviews with some vampires. So people don't realize, oh well, okay, it's pulled directly from this, or a lot of like Vampire the Masquerade pulls heavily from this kind of like moody, like whimsical vampire that's been brooding for 400 years. Whereas now we get a lot more of the tweeny, sparkly romance vampires, which is a genre of vampire, but like there's no more kind of like Interview with the Vampire or Bram Stoker's Dracula, because that's another one that's very romanticized vampire, but still has a lot of that really dark stuff. Like when I was a kid, the Theater of the Vampire scenes scared the crap out of me. Like I was horrified of that weird material that they're all wearing in the robes and eating the girl at the end of the play, and just all the patrons going out speechless. It was just really, really impactful when I was, I think, 11 or 12 when I saw this the first time.
Maybe a little too young.
Yeah, I was about to say, I remember
smidge.
first watching it, I was maybe like 11 or 12, and like my sister had it playing on like the DVD copy that we had in her. It's just like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be watching this, and I was just like, our dad had us watch South Park when you were in kindergarten.
There's not nearly as much full bush in South Park.
True.
So much nudity.
Yeah.
I watched this at work yesterday.
Great decision.
headphones on, and I'm so grateful I wore headphones because the amount of screaming and moaning and naked women that are in this movie is a lot, substantial, in fact.
That's actually kind of an interesting point, going back to kind of like the classical representation of vampires. Like, sexuality was a very big aspect of like the classical like way that we think of vampires. Even going back to like Bram Stoker's Dracula, like repressed sexual desires are the things. You know, this one, you know, it's homoerotic in some instances and a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff kind of going on. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's just like a lot of vampire media has moved away from that, like, since this. And like when you really think about it, because, you know, we get the obvious comparison is the Twilighty, Twinkie vampire stuff. And then you have the other end of the spectrum, which is like the Blade, like full-on monsters or underworld style stuff. And like, you know, like it's one of those things where it's just like it's really interesting how like this was so progressive for its time, and like nothing has really matched it since.
It's a 2-dad household. That's pretty progressive. So
an adopted daughter. Like,
very progressive.
I mean, it's crazy too, because with that, again, it did move away from the books quite a bit, because in the original, or she claims the original idea of the book was they were not partners. It was just, you know, creator and, you know, new vampire situation, but trying to keep him within the coven and things that they were trying to create. And then it just like the second book is from Lestat's point of view, and it's like, nope. Everything out the window. Let's just throw in all of the gay stuff.
It's just like that guy was gaslighting. Like he's just, you know, in denial. Like here's all the shit we were actually doing.
The movie very much kind of combines the two, because there's a lot of the lore you lose in the first book because it's 100% from Louis's perspective, and it's only the knowledge that Louis has. So like a lot of the stuff about not drinking until they're dead, or things that like the Stats creator and stuff, it never really comes up. Whereas if you don't have that lore, it's just another whiny Louis book.
Again, going back to Louis kind of sucks.
Kind of sucks. He's very emo and angsty through the whole thing.
Hot though, so
the hottest Brad Pitt will ever be, in my opinion.
No question. He's stunning in this. The first thing I said, I was like, his lips are perfect. He's just gorgeous.
I was gonna say sweaty Brad Pitt and Fight Club, pretty good too.
I knew you were gonna say that. Fucking knew that was where
not
you
wrong.
were gonna go.
Not incorrect.
He's got those weird lightning bolt shaped abs. It's great.
I was just gonna say, the more blood on Brad Pitt, the better. Wrong? But no, I put a couple of bullet points on our topic doc before, Megan. I think you even had a chance to actually read it. But one thing I kind of wanted to talk about was the impact and influence on sort of the genre since this film has come out. Because like, even though like we could talk about how it's diverged in a lot of ways, it still influenced a lot of like other vampire media. I think just what a lot of different franchises tried to do was modernize off of this, as opposed to try to kind of iterate on top of it. You know, I'm thinking of stuff like maybe like True Blood or Fire. Like, all of those are of varying quality. Let's all be fair here. But like for the most part, it's just like trying to keep that, you know, sexy, romanticized vampire stuff, but trying to bring it into the modern era. And it, in a lot of ways, it doesn't work.
I think a lot of people at this point, a lot of us don't want to live forever. I think that whole trope of, you know, I want to live to see, you know, 500 years down the road and where we're going to be at and all of that. Our generation and newer generations, we don't necessarily want to be around 600, 700, 800 years down the road to see the complete chaos that we are descending into.
In this economy, absolutely not. I don't want to be alive right now.
I've made the joke on the show before, look, I ride a motorcycle, I drink whiskey, and I smoke cigars. I'm not planning on living forever.
Yes.
This is like my third coffee today. It's fine. I have a heart condition, but it's fine.
It's just
I
like
was saying,
if palpitations happen, they happen. It's
exactly. Well, and poor Louis, because I will say he has a right to bitch because he just wanted to die, and they're like, "Hey, but what if eternal life though?" And he's like, "That's the opposite of what I wanted."
no, he's generally just going through full debauchery at the beginning of the movie. He's just like, it's just like, man, wife and kid are dead. I don't have much to live for. Like, I'm just gonna fuck whores and drink and hopefully just drown in the bay.
But that's one of the biggest changes, I have to say, as the expert. That's one of the biggest, and I will be that book nerd. I hate that change from the book to the movie. He's not married with a wife or kid in the book. It's his younger brother is bipolar or schizophrenic or something like that, is obsessed with religion. And in that era, the like Bible thumping, wandering tent preachers, he goes to Louis being like, "Oh, I need the plantation money and you have to give it to me so I can go pay this guy to exorcise me of my demons." Louis calls him crazy and he jumps off the balcony, or I think it was fall down the stairs, and kills himself. So
That's way too complicated for audiences to track.
Probably, yeah.
Seth is just like religious trauma.
Well, and that's what the studios didn't want to touch, was they didn't want to touch that. The reason he holds on to his humanity so hard is the religious aspect. He truly thinks that if he kills himself or he dies at this point, he's going to hell, and he does not want to do that. Whereas
Same with RoboCop.
Yeah, exactly. Louis, RoboCop, I mean, interchangeable.
Very similar characters.
Yeah. But that's like, it's one of the changes I was like, and they do redo that in the TV series where they do have the brother and he does commit suicide, and it's the instigator for the drunken debauchery and let's throw all the money down the drain on whores. So
like, kind of going back to something you were talking about, Meg, talking about like the idea of just like the idea of living forever is no longer in our consciousness as a society, especially in our age range. We've all accepted the fact that it's just like, yeah, if you could get me out of this earlier, like that'd actually be pretty great. But I think that might actually be one of the reasons why maybe things diverted so, because you have to also keep in mind that this film takes place, obviously, centuries in the past and leads up to modern day at this point. And it's just like, again, like the way that they were operating as vampires don't work today. But so much vampire media tries to place vampires in a modern context, and it just like doesn't quite hit in the same way.
no, I think that's why a lot of them kind of rely so heavily on the young female of the time that the brooding vampire falls in love with, is because they need that into the modern era to be like, oh, well, let's just do this instead. Because otherwise it is very much, you have to do that, like backtracking through history at the inception of the vampire through to, modern times being the very end of it.
Right.
Because, yeah, they are not good at changing from lore and everything else.
Yep. So, okay. So sexiest vampire, Brie, go.
I say this is irrelevant to everything, but I have some notes that I'd love to share.
Oh, go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's just a couple small things I noticed. I think this is hilarious. So, in the credits, there is a lot of whore of blah 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 credited, and one, in fact, the whore on the waterfront is credited before Lestat, before Tom Cruise.
Order of
She is
appearance.
the third billing.
Yeah.
That's so funny, though.
I do.
So,
miss
Also,
when they-
did Lestat really have to kill her?
No.
Like,
Well, it's a stat.
that's true.
He enjoys it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just enjoys scaring
It's
people.
like,
which is
it's like the feeding part of it is just for sustenance. The killing part of it is fun. That's the point of his character.
That's one of the
That's
notes I had,
true.
that he enjoys scaring people, because especially the one that he bit into her tit and then was like, she was just bleeding out. Like, he made that girl fucking suffer, and she was like, I don't want this, I don't want
He
this.
locked her.
Yeah.
He locked her in a coffin. One of my notes is she didn't feel him bite her boob that hard.
Right? Even as a
Again.
kid, that was my question. I was like, how do you not notice that? That would hurt so bad.
There's a lot of blood.
Again, there was a lot of things going on where they were just letting Tom Cruise. Like, I think some of that shit wasn't even in the script.
Oh god.
He just actually bit her tit.
I would not be surprised.
No.
But yeah, oh, I was gonna say, and I don't know if I misheard this, but I feel like there was a couple times that Tom Cruise said Louis' name like Lewis. I recognized it at least twice, and I was like, oh, do I have their name wrong? Because I wrote Louis, and I was like, wait, is it Lewis? Am I wrong? And I was like, oh, I think he definitely mispronounced it a couple of times.
That goes back to like nobody even remotely tried to do like a Cajun or Creole accent whatsoever.
No. And yeah, I'm also interested with the Vampire Theater. Do they run that show all the time? Because it seems like people aren't liking it. I was like, is this like a nightly thing? Because everyone hates it. How are you running this place?
There's actually a shit ton of lore to do with that theater specifically. But yes, it's kind of like a monthly event kind of thing. But it's supposed to be, at least at that point, during an era of where they would have like the freak shows and the like come see this pickled pig in a jar, and like the kind of the curiosity of it and word of mouth that spread. I think nobody ever went back. It's not like, oh yeah, I saw this show, let's go see it again. I think it was very much one of those like people would talk about it at work meetings or like the bar afterwards and things, or like the Penny Dreadful would have it listed, and people would just like, go into the midnight showing.
I mean, it does kind of go back to like what was going on in the plot where like, Antonio Banderas' character Armand was like kind of talking about like, our way of doing things isn't really working anymore. And needing Louis to be the like, here's how you can move us into like this more modern era, because like, yeah, like, the theater going experience is not necessarily going to sustain us. There's only so many like, hey, you remember that girl who was at that like show? No one ever saw her again after they did that whole like total like devouring of her, like closing the curtain. Like, it's just like, that was kind of specifically a theme. But yeah, like it is, to me, like I took that as like representing, it's just like, yeah, this is a dying art. This is a thing from the old world that is now.
Yeah, because I was just thinking like there's gonna be critics being like, this show is fucking weird. Like they kind of killed the girl on stage, I think. I don't know. Don't go see it.
I don't think I remember the last time I read like a positive stage play review in a paper or any publication. Like, and in fairness, like a lot of people who review like stage plays are like the biggest assholes on the planet and will nitpick everything. It's just like, dude, these are like starving actors who you're like complaining about in your paper. Like, cut them a little bit of slack.
They can kill a girl on stage if they want to. It's art.
It's fine.
Yeah.
She signed off.
Exactly.
I did write while they were killing that girl. I don't remember this part of Cabaret. I don't know if that checks out.
That's a good joke. Good job.
Thank you.
Is it bad that like the theater tech in me kept going, sight lines? Nobody can see what you're doing. There's cameras above, but people down below can't see anything.
Again, theater kid doing theater kid things.
Yes.
I think that's my favorite thing about my relationship with Emily, is because she thinks of everything from a theater perspective, and me coming from a TV and film perspective is just like, okay, everything you said does not work for like A, B, and C reason. It's just like, why would you do that? It's just like, Emily, editing. We have editing. We can cut.
One thing I did want to bring up that I wasn't on the doc, but with Anne Rice specifically, and part of the reason why she probably hated a lot of the changes, she was incredibly protective of her properties.
Yeah.
So fan fiction, big no-no. Like when I was a kid, I very specifically remember fanfic sites I would go to that hosted stuff that was, Vampire Chronicles related for the rest of the book series. And they would have big notices saying, we were contacted by Anne Rice's legal team. We can't afford to fight this.
Yeah.
She pulled almost every fanfic she could possibly find off the internet. And in 2021, when she passed, everything got reposted. It was just 20 years of downloading of people writing fanfics, stored up, pent up tension, just exposed onto the internet. And I'm all for it. It made me laugh so hard when I saw a news article about the explosion of vampire fanfic.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's amazing.
I think that's very fair because, like, obviously, a creator not being happy with an adaptation is understandable, but also at the same time, you have to kind of sometimes tell creators of things, dude, fuck off. We have to
Calm down, it's your fans.
It's like we have to change shit. You have to do that, and like Anne Rice also comes from an era like where fanfic was not really a thing to suddenly transitioning into it. And like I understand coming from perspective, it's just like they're ruining my legacy. It's like no, they love your legacy.
Exactly.
They just have
They
other
just
thoughts, and you spark their imagination, and like just.
Or they wanted a bit more spicy. Like it was pretty spicy, but
I was about to say, like, you made it like a little sexy, but like these days, have you been reading the fantasy novels these days?
Yeah.
Like, these days it's basically just porn.
Yeah.
Which we can go into like the young adult fiction to like smut fiction pipeline, but that's a topic for another episode, and Emily would not appreciate not being involved in it.
no.
But no, that's very interesting, especially as like somebody who basically, again, had a very specific idea of her head of what she wanted her story to be, and anybody coming in and trying to change it was just like, being overprotective of it.
Yeah.
Whereas like now it's just like, dude, if you make something and the fans start going crazy with it, you just basically have to just for good or
Except
bad.
with bookbinding, bookbinding is a huge problem right now in the fan fiction community. So, like they're actually printing out and binding books and selling them on Etsy, which is illegal. So,
Yeah.
that is becoming people are actually becoming more protective again for that exact reason. Because
That makes
especially
more
in this day and
sense.
age, people are making their fan fiction into actual books. We have a lot of books out there right now that are originally fan fiction. So it's interesting that obviously I'm sure Anne Rice didn't have that forethought, but like it's kind of coming back around right now because a lot of people are like taking their works off of fan fiction sites because they're like, I don't want somebody to print this and sell it, which is happening, which would seem obvious to me to like not steal things, but also AI is a thing. So,
There's a lot of things that we did not account for, like several decades ago, that are now currently issues. Like we didn't really have a plan for a lot of stuff.
we sure didn't.
Has My Immortal been published yet? Because I would like a copy of that.
It's
It's a joke for one person, apparently.
Yeah, I was about to say
You can
that.
find that on Etsy, I'm sure. It's illegal though.
This goes down as
True.
Seth's inside joke of the day.
Yay! I call those 1%ers.
It's one.
Or as I like to call it, Seth's tangent.
I'm not going to tangent this one. I can, but I won't.
I know you can, but eventually Bree's gonna have to duck out.
Yeah, true.
All right, so any final thoughts in regards to Interview with a Vampire?
I noticed I have a note here that just says Superman, because I wasn't expecting that clip at the end of the movie.
We
Warner
have to-
Brothers just like go
I was-
watch these movies
I was
too.
about- like,
Yes, please. Movies are amazing. You can't see a sunrise. You can in movies.
it was one of those things like when the Nosferatu, I was like, okay, that makes sense, like vampire film and everything, and then it's just like, and then Superman is just like, is this a Warner Brothers movie? And then I watched the credits, just like, oh, it is a Warner Brothers movie. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh.
I will say, I'm not that I expected this to be bad by any extent of the imagination, but it's really good. Like this holds up
Shocking
super
good.
fucking well. Especially like because when I saw it was over 2 hours, I'm like, fuck me, I don't have time for this. But the pacing is excellent. And again, speaking to like the practical effects, like I feel like I'm gonna sound like such an old person, but I'm like, they just genuinely don't make movies like they used to. Like this is such a good fucking film. Like it is, the pacing's good. Like the acting's pretty decent across the board. Like it's a
Costuming
good
is
fucking
amazing.
movie.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
I was really shocked this time how much it actually held up, or like with the special effects and stuff, because that's usually my biggest gripe rewatching 90s films.
we
But,
rewatched
yeah.
The Matrix last week. Trust me, we were very hyper aware of like visual effects not holding. But no, I will say like it is refreshing watching a movie where like the sets and everything are like actually built sets and it's not on like a blue screen and everything is just basically superimposed in. Because, I think, we were all mesmerized by like Marvel movies and stuff for certain decades, but you go back and watch those now, like, wow, this is just does not hold up anymore. And then you go back to some of these older movies that have like practically built sets and you're just like, okay, yeah, it does look like it's on a lot somewhere, but like there is like a physicality to it, and it also
Mhm.
enhances the performance from the actors because they're not just like interacting with nothing. There is actually like reference and things for them to interact with and everything else, and
Mhm.
it does change the performance.
Yeah, you get more immersed, I feel. Like I just like I
Right.
yeah, it definitely sets, but like I don't know, because of everything being practical, it just like I don't know, I was in it the whole time. And I again for 2 hours, that's a long time to keep my attention, and I was like so eager to finish
Yeah.
it. So
Mhm.
that's high praise,
And
honestly.
the tension's better. Like, you know, when everything is on fire, like it's just like that's an actual thing burning, so like you feel a
Mhm.
little bit more panic than where if it was just like a CGI like, you know, soundstage set where it's just kind of like, it's just like, okay, whatever. They're not really in any kind of danger. It creates the atmosphere.
Oh, well,
What
and the scene with Claudia, they're fighting Claudia, like, what, like, that's, and I knew, like, I've read the book a long time ago. I've seen this movie before, but I still had, like, a pit in my stomach, like, watching him trying to find her and then seeing her in ashes. I was like, God, this is such a well built up moment. And the tension is just immaculate. It's so good.
That's a
could
note I have.
say,
That's a fucked up way to kill a vampire.
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Super fucked up.
I will say, if you guys like the movie, watch the TV show. Like, this prompted us to download the things. The
Legally
second
purchased.
thing, I'm in
Yeah,
Canada. We don't have AMC here.
We
So
encourage everybody to
please watch it on
support the
AMC
official release
so that
and make
they
sure
will do
that
a
like
third season. But they're actually doing an entire multiverse now of Anne Rice. I will say Mayfair Witches, not as good, but they're doing a Talamasca series now. And the first season of the Vampire Chronicles was top tier. Like, I'm so stoked. I really liked the changes in the TV show because they actually make sense what they did to try to incorporate, more POC characters and stuff like that, or get the ages minus the weird Claudia being 5 thing sorted out. It's great. It is really, really good. And I would say just as good as the movies. So, I mean,
I was gonna
first
say-
movie, second movie is not good. Don't watch Queen of the Damned. Listen to the soundtrack. Do not watch the movie. That's it.
Fair. No, I will say watching this made me want to start watching the show.
Yeah, same.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make that a conversation for another time and maybe even a future homework assignment, assuming Meg ever decides to come back after this.
We'll see.
We'll have conversations about it. Anyways.
I just have one more note.
Okay.
That's just, man, fuck the French.
Emily would agree with you.
I love the French. How dare you?
The Canadian French
I'm
or
sorry.
the actual French?
Not the Canadian
Different.
French. They're so,
I've been to Quebec. They suck.
they're very mean.
Beautiful fishing in Quebec.
I've never been there, so I'm okay.
It's a beautiful city. Terrible
Yeah.
people.
Very, very, like, unnecessarily mean. And I speak French. I spoke French fluently at the time. They did not fucking care. They said, speak English, idiot. And I'm like, okay, cool. I love it here.
Sorry. On behalf of them. Sorry.
I hang out in Ontario. I get it.
Perfect.
Anyways.
How do we transition to gay furries?
Is there a transition to gay furries? Gay
Our
vampires, gay
life-
furries.
Gay furries.
The more you know.
Yes. Seamless.
Okay, so this is probably my favorite just comedic story that came out in the last couple of weeks. We're not a political show, as we say every week. And
Okay.
that's becoming less and less true week to week. But so there was a hacking of Project 25, which is a piece of shit initiative from conservatives for what they want to do after the election. And it's, primarily ran by the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank of people who can go get fucked. Official stance of the show, just so we all
Yes.
are very clear. And,
Signing on from Canada.
and this hacking was accredited to a band of gay furries who basically leaked a bunch of data and documents. And, I don't know if you guys read the article. Obviously the Heritage Foundation denies that there was any actual data leak, which, of course, we totally believe them.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, completely.
And, there's, stuff specifically from, the people who run their cybersecurity, saying it's just like, we're gonna beat these gay furries, and like using the exact language on social media, and it's just so funny. And look, I realized I was a little mean to the furries during our Has-Been Hotel episode, you know, being a little kind of like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about them. I just want to say I love you, the furry community. Keep doing what you're doing.
I'm ride or die for furries, honestly. I think people shit on them so much. I think they have a thing that they like.
Again,
they always let me touch their suits at Comic-Con.
Yeah, and
they're
again,
good people.
and there's a reason why in the topic doc I was just like, you know what, you are true American heroes, and we salute you for everything you
Patriot.
I don't salute much, but I'll salute you.
I mean, after the 4th of July we just had, I was just like, I need something to make me feel patriotic again.
Yeah, this is doing it for me for sure. That's amazing. Although even like in the article, I thought it was kind of funny because they were like, when they were denying the leak, they're like, oh, well, it's old data from this old thing. I'm like, it's still data though. Regardless, even if it's old data, it's still, there's still data that does not belong to you, and it's other people's data that now other people have. Yeah, I fucking love this story. I think furries are so nice and such a good community, and I think they get shit on too much, and they are goddamn American heroes, and I love that for them.
And they support the arts.
Yeah.
They massively support the arts.
You realize how expensive those suits are?
Insane.
Yes.
And the fan art that they pay for over their personas.
Oh yeah.
The amount of time they spend building those characters, like someone who puts that much dedication into something, yeah, top tier, you're fantastic, you're not hurting anybody, go nuts.
It's just a thing they like and want to spend money on. I fucking love that for them.
My favorite thing is like being sort of close to the information technology and info security communities. Like you see a lot of people talking about this online, and they're just like, okay, everybody who's like surprised that gay furries like did this, is just like, you have to remember, that's everybody in your IT department. That is everybody in your infosec. That is who they are. Like, you make fun of them for being a little weird, but like, they literally control your information. Like, your IT guy is a gay furry ready to leak all of your corporation secrets at a moment's notice.
You should just be asking what his persona is. You should be like, hey, are you mythical? Like, what region are you from?
Yeah.
Yes.
Better use of your time.
It's just embrace your weird friends. That's what I want to tell. Like, just that's the thing. It's just like,
yes, please embrace me, love me, cherish me.
Please.
Why else do we have you on the show, Seth? No, but really fun story, and I'm always happy to watch the far right get fucked. So always happy.
We love a good hack, absolutely.
Always
There's
happy
nothing
to
better.
see it. Love to see it, and so we're very happy with that. That being said, there's some other not so great things that have come out in the media.
I'm sad about this.
Yeah,
I hate this story.
I was actually kind of interested. So Neil Gaiman, a very well-renowned author, known for things such as American Gods, Good Omens, Sandman, a lot of different properties throughout written media, has some sexual assault allegations out in the ether. I think specifically 2 women have come forward. There's actually current pending cases in New Zealand based off of this. And it brings up a lot of stuff. I'll be completely honest, I've never been that much of a Neil Gaiman fan. Back in the day, Brie actually got me a copy of Sandman as part of our holiday gift exchange that we did years ago, and everything else like that, but I don't have a very strong personal attachment to Neil Gaiman and his writing, so it was actually funny when the stuff came out. Emily was just like, oh, thank God I don't have to pretend to like Neil Gaiman anymore. I was just like, fair, but it does suck. We talk about on the show pretty often, just the stuff comes up. There's people whose work you really, really like, and when things like this kind of happen, it shakes you to your core because you love the work that they did, but now you're just like, oh, but that person sucks. There's kind of a hard way to take it. So Brie, you said you kind of are really upset about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I like Neil Gaiman a lot. Granted, more like when I was in like my 20s, I read a little more of his content. Like, and I think he's a great writer. I actually just read Good Omens for the first time recently, and like with Terry Pratchett, like it's a great fucking book. So, I'm very sad about this. This is there's only two people coming out so far, which is not that that's encouraging, but I'm just like I feel like sometimes when these things happen, it's like, oh God, 50 people came out, and you're like, oh my God, how long
Yeah,
has it been going on for?
Mhm.
So
we're all concerned of another Bill Cosby on our hands.
110%. So this is very. I mean, this was only posted like I want to say a
2 days
couple days
ago,
ago. So this
3 days.
is yeah, this is
Yeah,
very very
very
new
new.
news. Um, I'm always going to believe victims. That's all there is to it. So because they're very often not believed. So I'm sad about it. It sucks. I'm interested to hear more about it.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. That's kind of where I'm at with that. It just sucks. I like a lot of his work. So I
Yeah.
who's to say what'll happen?
Yeah, no, and
Definitely.
that's hard. I think very, very specifically, like going back to like you said with believing victims, a lot of the times these go on us. Believing of victims is a complicated thing.
Mhm.
Based of what I've seen so far, most of what they've said and have reported hold water, and a lot
Mhm.
Mhm.
from it. Uh, and this brings up a conversation about appreciating the. There's a conversation that happens online, like separating the art from the.
Yeah.
If that's something that we can do, because we've shat on J.K. Rowling a lot on this show, rightfully
As
so.
you should.
Because she fucking sucks. Yeah, absolutely.
She is a nightmare now.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who grew up with those books and with that property and have a strong emotional attachment to it, and like after she proved that she's a fucking turf,
Mhm.
have had to kind of grapple with that. It's like, can I still love this property while knowing that the creator kind of sucks?
For me, it's what the response is. Like JK's response to her being questioned about it was doubling down and just being a nightmare and
Mhm.
continuing to be a nightmare. Neil Gaiman's response hasn't been great either, in my opinion.
Mhm.
'Cause it's the excuse that a lot of men and women that sexually abuse their partners use is that, "Oh, well, we were in a relationship, it was consensual,"
Right.
which is not the case 100% of the
Mhm.
time, and regardless of what he thinks and feels, these women felt otherwise,
Yeah.
and are reporting now that they felt otherwise, and again, yeah, like everybody's been saying, if they're saying they're victims of this, they should be believed, and at this point, because of his response, I'm leaning much more heavily into believing
Yeah.
their side of the story.
Yeah.
And I usually do when I hear this response
That
to those things.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it when I saw like his response. I tried to like confirm that was his actual like verbatim response
Yeah.
and everything. It was a little difficult to confirm that, but like yeah, the sound of it is just like, all right, you sound like a gaslighting asshole from your response, so that
Mhm.
Yeah.
instantly makes me again goes back to like this sounds like it at least holds water. You know,
Yeah.
court of public
Well,
opinion
and
is always going to sway in certain directions, but like again, not being a Neil Gaiman fan, I hear this. There's an accusation. It's just I'm inclined to believe it until like there's something irrefutable that says like no,
Yeah.
that never actually happened. But until that happens, like I believe it.
well, and even that argument of like being in a relationship equals consent, it doesn't.
Nope.
But that, for me, that has very obvious roots in religion and Christianity, where I was raised growing up. Hey, you're a man. If you want it and you're in a relationship, the woman has to do it because it's her job.
Yeah.
And that's misogynistic. That's fucked up. And so I hate that excuse when I hear it from men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's again, if that is the excuse that you're going with, it's just like that does not mean shit.
Mhm.
No.
Mhm.
Oh, and I apologize to whichever TikTok creator said this, but I saw someone responding to it saying if you look at a lot of his work, it's off a lot of mythology that kind of reveres SA or pulls heavily from creating myths out of SA. And so for him to kind of go into that genre, it's kind of also easier to see that, okay, well, maybe those are his beliefs because that's what he's ingrained in. A lot of his study and, planning for his books and all of that, if that's all you're constantly reading and seeing, that's probably why he has that response.
Right.
It makes sense, yeah.
No. Regardless, I don't know how this entire situation's gonna go. Yeah, like echoing
Hope they
kind of,
end up being okay. That's
you know, like I hope like whatever conclusion to this gets like at least closure for people involved, if anything else.
Yes.
Like it's not an easy thing for anybody to deal with. You know, we all have either been somebody who's been, you know, a victim of sexual assault or know somebody directly who has been sexually assaulted at some point in time. And if you think that you aren't one of those people, it's because the people close to you haven't talked to you about it.
Correct.
And
Mhm.
Yep.
it's not an easy thing. Everybody has a lot of different emotions tied to it. You know, I have found out about things about close friends and families of mine that happen, and like I get into protective big brother sort of mode where it's just like, okay, cool, where is he at right now, fight on site kind of thing. And like that's my reaction. A lot of times there's like, no, don't do that, and like back down, because like you're right, that's not going to help the situation regardless. But yeah, I kind of wanted to get back to the separating art from artist thing. So there was a thing that kind of got piggybacked off of this. I linked an article about with the R. Kelly thing where victims of R. Kelly are getting royalties from his. I saw a thing at some point saying that they were getting all the royalties. I wasn't able to find an article that confirmed that like his victims are getting all the royalties from his.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
they are getting a payout from Universal with the royalties of that. And I was just like, that's actually kind of an interesting way to kind of go about that when like a significant public figure who has like, you know, significant art, film, music, whatever that is bringing in money is just like, hey, the people who you know, harmed significantly are now going to be the ones who benefit off of your profit. That makes it a lot easier to like engage with their media. So I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I wish that was a standard. That'd be super fucking cool. 'Cause I
Yeah,
feel like that's
then-
kind of where my line is for like, because going back to J.K. Rowling, like I feel like people argue to death about like I grew up with her, like it's really important to me, so I have to keep buying these things. I have to buy Hogwarts Legacy and blah blah blah. Like it's my childhood. It's just like, okay, here the problem there is that she actively gives money to anti-trans. That money is actively endangering people.
You're actively
hurting people,
contributing
yeah.
to harm as opposed to like contributing to like a solution.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, and nobody's asking you to like throw out all your Harry Potter books and like burn them all, and never engage with it again.
Yeah, if you want, if you need a new copy because something bad happened to your copy, go for a used book service.
Yeah, buy it
and thrift
secondhand.
and thrift it.
There's so many ways, and also buy bootleg merch by all fucking means. Like go on Etsy, buy something that somebody else made. It's probably fucking better anyways. There's so much shitty licensed merch out there.
Instead of marathoning on HBO Max, like just pirate it.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, you can engage with it, but yeah, don't actively give money to a person who has shown you exactly who they fucking are. With honestly, like she hasn't.
And maybe
She hasn't
don't get
hidden
a
it at
Death
any
Eater's
point.
tattoo.
Yeah, oh
Yeah,
my
cover
fucking
that
god.
up.
People are getting that covered up so much, and I love that for them. Don't do that. Ooh,
Don't support
Jeez.
fascism.
please.
Official stance of the show.
Trans fucking rights, everybody. Thank you.
If they
Yeah.
could confirm for me 100% that 100% of the royalties went to his victims, there's like maybe 2 songs
Yeah.
that I would still put on
Ignition
rotation.
Remix and I Believe I Can Fly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Those are the
That's it.
only 2 songs that matter. And like, if you told me that like none of the money's going to him and it's going to his victims, I'm just like, cool, I'm bumping that stuff down the street and don't have to feel guilty about it. Until then, it's not on any playlist that I currently curate.
No, I still won't touch it until like that's confirmed. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, maybe.
I mean, I said like when a lot of the turf shit was coming out with J.K. Rowling, it's just like she needs to pull a George Lucas and just sell the rights, like cash
Everything.
out.
I heard
now.
rumors she's thinking about it, but that was a few weeks ago, and I haven't heard any follow up to that.
There was a
so-
lot of talk during the Warner Brothers Discovery merger that like maybe that was going to be a play because that was when the last Fantastic Beasts movie was coming out, and they were trying to lean heavy into J.K. Rowling, but they were like, we don't know how we feel. Like, can we?
Yeah.
It might be because they're planning the TV show and they just want her name off of everything so the TV show doesn't get boycotted.
Well, yeah, it doesn't help that
That makes
basically
sense.
all those properties. Yeah, the Fantastic Beasts movies flopped pretty hard,
Mhm.
especially for how much they spent on them. And then like even Hogwarts Legacy, like never remotely, even with like the influx of people who still bought it, never
Mhm.
quite hit the target goals that they wanted for it. But if you want to play it, pirate it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes.
Or just don't.
Or just
Or
don't.
just don't. They're not that great. You were a child at the time. They're not that good. Nice.
So yeah, moving on into other depressing things happening on the internet.
Shelley Duvall died.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
that was
that
really
sucks.
sad.
That
was,
sucks.
that was real sad.
Yeah, that sucked. I mean, she lived a good life.
I
Yeah.
was surprised how old she actually was, because I was still thinking in my head she was like 60 something.
Right,
Like, I
like,
did not think she
You were
was
thinking
that
like
old.
late 50s, early 60s, because
Yeah.
she didn't seem that old in like The Shining
Oh,
or anything.
75 though. That's not terribly old.
Yeah.
For her age group, I'm like, oh, the coke they did.
Yeah.
75.
Yeah.
That lead paint catches up with you.
Oh,
Yeah. That Popeye set was full of lead paint and
Oh
cocaine.
my god. Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, there was that. I've been sharing with
The
Steph
Shining.
some of the stuff with the Alec Baldwin trial getting basically,
Ooh.
removed without
Yeah.
prejudice. I think that's the right call. I don't know how you guys feel about
It
it.
ultimately wasn't his fault. It was the prop master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made the argument with some friends when I was talking about it. It's just like, look, if you want to hold him accountable as a producer of the show and having the set be in that condition where live rounds, which should not have fucking been there.
God, no.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, it's just like, yeah, there's that case, but like trying to say about the fact that he pulled the trigger is like, you don't, okay, look, I am probably the only person on the show who owns firearms as far as I know. I understand firearm safety. I understand the rules of firearm safety. A movie set is a completely different set of circumstances. If I am an actor and I am handed a firearm and I am told it is cold and fine to go and we're about to shoot a scene or rehearse a scene, and I've been explicitly told that it is clear and good and cold and not going to hurt anybody, that is my reasonable expectation.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
fact that the
fully.
live round was in there, not objectively his fault. If you want to blame him for having been a producer on the movie and specifically having the production set be on that, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the whole thing. But seeing like specifically gun advocates saying it's like, oh, he pulled the trigger, didn't follow proper gun safety. It's like, that's not how movie sets work.
It's not on set.
No.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of how it is, like Emily, being a, production manager for theater type stuff is just like, you do not touch the props unless the prop master says you could touch the prop.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Are they charging him like with murder? Is that what it
It's
was
been
at?
it's been officially
Manslaughter,
dropped.
or-
They were charging him with manslaughter. They tried
Oh,
murder
okay.
before.
It was a stretch.
They were
Yeah.
they were going with manslaughter on this, but because the prosecution withheld evidence, which was basically other live rounds of ammunition that were found on set, and they basically hid that they found that from the defense. They've now thrown out the case with prejudice, so they can't bring it back up. So he's completely cleared at this point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jensen Ackles had a live round in his as well.
Yeah, they found that there was a live round in Jason Alco's bandolier. So like there was multiple live rounds
Yikes.
on set, which should not be
That's
there.
not good.
That's fucked. Yeah.
Like the only reason live ammunition should be on a set is if you're doing like a shooting range, scene where like you're actually shooting targets. But as soon as that scene's over, like every bullet needs to be accounted for and put away and like taken away. There's no reason to shoot.
It's easy to fake that too. Like again,
Yeah.
like it's just easy at this point to fake that kind of stuff. It's just about having, at least from my perspective with that whole thing, it was just about having the live rounds on set and oh look what we're doing on set, which should not have happened with, actors. Like there's so many deaths from prop guns on sets already that it should just be a no-go at this point for work safety aspects.
Right. There was no reason that there should have been live rounds there, period. End of sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know how those rounds got there. I know there's been stuff looking into the prop masters. I know there was some issues with them using non-union crew on the set. There was a lot of stuff that was going on behind the scenes in the production that were bad. But, like, however, like, that specifically happened was just like that. You should have been investigating that, not Alec Baldwin was the one who pulled the trigger on the he's liable. It's not how that should have gone. Anyways, so moving on to other kind of stuff on the internet, I found this a little bit interesting article specifically showing that early Apple tech bloggers finding out that some of their stuff is resurfacing through AI zombified articles. Basically, we're in full-on dead internet theory at this point, guys.
It's the worst. I hate AI so much.
So do I.
It's not improving anything. I bet I mentioned this like in one of our last podcasts, but like I was researching a difference between two different yoga poses, and I was like, oh, let me just find this really quick. And of course, every fucking search engine has an AI function, and it told me the wrong fucking answer because of course it did because it doesn't fucking know. And I'm just like, people are just going to use this as information. There's already so much misinformation out there, and what I'm finding a lot, especially on Instagram right now, which is doubly upsetting as a aerialist and a pole dancer. They are taking our videos of us dancing and putting it through an like AI video thing, and then it'll be like a spider dancing on a web or all these things like, and I'm just like, that is somebody's likeness and they are making money off of your art. And my pole dancer friends are sharing this. So I was like, you should be mad at this. You should be fucking furious. That artist is not getting paid for this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's infuriating.
AI is such a nightmare. Like I grew up around a lot of actors and actor friends and things like that, and it's like one of my favorite parts about film is background actors fucking up and doing too much. And it's like, if you're just, or like Gone with the Wind, my favorite scene in that is just like the pan up of all the injured soldiers, and the fact that every single person in that shot is real is insane. And to go through and just like copy paste, and like for every form of media at this point is crazy. Like I'm just hoping somebody finds a massive AI plug, pulls it, and then we're like, okay, AI Dark Ages, let's go.
Please.
It'll be when Facebook dies. When Facebook or Google just become bots regurgitating the same things, and advertisers realize, oh, we're not actually making money off of this. Let's pull our advertising.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to the whole, like, are you guys familiar with dead internet theory at this point? Like,
I am.
Yeah, I do stuff.
Not so much.
Yeah.
I would say like vaguely.
So it's the basic idea that so much of the internet has been consolidated in certain spaces, specifically in our normal media habits, that a lot of the internet is actually just bots and, fake content and stuff like that. And AI is actively contributing now to basically what is the problem with dead internet is the fact that it's just like you now just have stuff like going through like old articles and just like packaging and purposing it, and it's being sold as like automated ads and junk articles and stuff where it's like it's building on top of the problem. It's what makes like,
and the only things that are interacting with this regurgitated content are more bots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like we're all pretty internet savvy for the most part. We're millennials. We grew up with the internet. We know a fake article, clickbait bullshit when we see it. Like, it's obvious. But
we invented them.
Pretty much, yes.
We sure did.
But like AI is basically just making that even more. And so basically, as this continues and as more AI instances get made, they're doing the exact same thing, and it's just creating an even bigger body of dead internet. That's what always made me like laugh at like Elon Musk being like, we're going to fix the bot problem on Twitter. It's just like, dude, you actively want to contribute to AI, which is going to basically just be used for creating more bots.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff with like AI, with like the stuff that's just like ripping off and creating misinformation and stuff like that, it's not new. Bad photoshops on Facebook, just kind of like really fake things. Like, one of the things that I saw was just like there's like some music apps out there that will create music using AI, and people are just like, I can't, like, that's the one that a lot of people are just like, I hate the fact that I wasn't able to catch that was AI right away. It's like, yeah, because music's already very overprocessed.
Yes.
So hearing an overprocessed AI thing is just like, that's the one thing that's really closest you're trained to be able to spot a fake image. You're able to spot like a fake auto-generated article. There are tells. Music's a little harder.
Yes.
And so, but yeah, like it's just kind of one of those things where it's just like we're just contributing to basically the internet more or less just becoming a bigger wasteland that it already is.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm less chronically online than I was like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, big time.
I'm trying to get that way. But doom
I
scrolling
don't
is
know,
a
I'm
thing.
thinking about it.
Yeah, I still doom scroll a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I find it's not on as many things. Like
Yeah.
I'm down to I think
sure.
like 2 apps that I'm on
Mhm.
regularly. And then there's one that I'll check every once in a while, but I'm not like on Snapchat anymore. I'm not on X or Twitter, whatever anymore. Like all of those ones I've completely scrapped. And then there's a ton that like even when we all first met, they don't exist anymore.
Right.
So, and at this point, I'm like, I don't need to learn this. It's fine. I've turned into that
Yeah.
old person. It's like, nah, I've got enough. It's good. It's good.
I did my time.
Yeah.
It's fine. I
I'm not
had to
doing
learn
threads.
HTML. I'm not doing
Yeah.
this again.
100%.
We all have
100%.
PTSD from the MySpace days.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
I had.
Hey, my
one of the
background
kids
is the
I
Matrix
trained-
graphic.
That's on
Perfect.
brand for you.
No,
Yeah.
I had a kid I trained ask me to do a typing test for him because he was like, "Why do you type so fast?" I'm like, "I don't know. We had to do this in school."
That's a funny thing. Like, I think specifically like for like Gen Zers and like alphas, like they don't know how to type because they're
Oh
so
my
used
God,
to
no,
touch.
they chicken pat.
Yeah,
They're-
I
there's-
don't either.
They're so
I never learned.
yeah, they're so used to touchscreens that like they don't understand like it's just like okay, so you're on the F and the J indexing, and then like
Yeah.
use that to go. It's just like
Mm-mm.
how
Oh, it's
do you
F
go
and
across
J.
these
Oh.
Courtney, what?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
why they have the little things on them. Okay.
My God. Yeah, no, these
We're
guys are
learning.
like 22, 24, and I'm just like, like
I have a 22-year-old in my office who's I can't tell when he's
I love them, but my God.
I can't tell when he's trolling me and when he's being absolutely serious. We were having a conversation. He was showing me like a website of a potential client, and it was like the worst thing I ever looked at. And like their logo looked like something that was literally like they basically just put a block of color on MS Paint and used the eraser tool to draw the letters.
Brilliant.
Oh
Love it.
no.
And he tried to argue with me that like it's like I could see what they're going for in this, and I'm just like, you cannot convince me this is trash, and I'm 90% sure you're trolling me right now.
Oh my God. Those kids, man, I'm telling you. I had to explain to one of my old coworkers what a Rolodex was. She said it was a flippy number thing, and also she didn't know how to address an envelope. She's like, "Where do I put everything?" And I was like, "I don't know how to help you."
It
You've
sucks.
taken a lot of checks. None of them know how to write a check. I've had to print off this is how you write a check. Please make sure people have written them correctly.
Okay, so here's the problem, and I'm sure we're all on the same page here. I'm at the point where it's just like I have to deal with boomers above me who do not know how email or search engines or any like digital technology works, and then I'm having the younger like Gen Zers who do not like know how to do like other basic tasks, and I'm like in the middle of it,
Yeah.
just like I can't do
Very
any.
much.
I can't do my job because nobody else knows how to do anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
I'm just dealing with boomers now. I don't know if that's better. I constantly have to be like, so you go down here, you click documents, and that's where your
I'll-
document is.
I'll take the Gen Z kids over the boomers. I'll be completely honest. The problem is the boomers are still the ones with the money. That's the problem.
I would say that's my fucking boss, unfortunately. And it's funny because she has a touchscreen computer, and mine is not touchscreen, but she'll constantly just. I'm like, please stop, please stop. It doesn't.
You're getting
work.
fingerprints all over the place.
Yes.
Just stop.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Something.
Anyways, so I think that's pretty much just about what we have for the show. One thing I kind of wanted to end the show on was talking about some of the projects we've all been working on. We're all very busy people. We're millennials who don't have enough money, so we have to work for livings, unfortunately. But some of us actually still have passion projects that we're currently working on. Bree, specifically, one of the projects that I know you're very active on is your podcast, Game Bird. So I was hoping you maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So me and my childhood best friend started a podcast just because we would like go out to dinner and talk about indie games for literally hours, and we're like, we should like put this somewhere. Like, we are clearly very passionate about this, and we also like made it as a sneaky way for like A, us to like hang out together a little bit more and chat more, and B, to finally get through our extensive Steam libraries because we have bought so many games. I mean, there's just the summer Steam sale. When that happens, you buy like 5 or 6 games and then you don't ever touch them. So like we use this as an excuse to play games and review them. They're very short episodes. They're 20 minutes. There's like a visualizer on YouTube, which is pretty cool. And then we're available on every other platform. Episodes come out on Monday every 2 weeks. In fact, there will be one coming up on Monday for the game Balatro, which is a card game, and we were very hyped about that one. We had to cut that episode down so much because we were so excited. We're also both, neurodivergent people, so it's a chaotic, fun time. So yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Very nice. I still need to listen to it. I haven't yet. I'm sorry.
I've listened to every episode. I think it's great. I think it's
I will listen to it after this.
Thank you, thank you.
It's very fun. It's always fun hearing Bree just get giddy about like indie game stuff, and she's always very excitable. It's why I love having her on. So it's a great show. I highly recommend it.
Thank you,
So,
thank you.
Seth,
Get on it, Seth.
Yes, I will. I'm sorry. I haven't yet. I will, though.
Speaking of Seth, how's your next album coming?
It's slow, very slow. It went from being one record to now 3. It's a whole concept. It's like 3 acts. It's going to be about like finding the good in the bad of life and also recognizing bad in good. It's very yin and yang, and it surrounds 3 topics. The first one is self, the second is love, and the third is just overall life. And I've got about 40 demos right now that I'm weeding my way through for this. And but yeah.
I will say I do miss the days when you would just write everybody in Movie Club their own songs. That was
Yes.
so fun. I actually still use the song you wrote for me. Actually, like I was going through my old portfolio and I actually used it in my college reel. And it's still in there. So like, and I think there's actually another song on my reel that was you. It was written by you. Like I was like, oh hey, here's my old college reel. I'm just gonna kind of like rewatch it. I was just like, oh, that's Seth's music. That's Seth playing guitar right there. Like, it was so great. So I do kind of miss that. You know, I know how hard it is to stay on top of some of those passion projects. It sucks. You know, I used to do all the photography stuff back in the day, and like I pretty much don't do it anymore.
Well, in this concept, I've been wanting to do for like 6 years. My last album I put out was supposed to be the first part of this, and then it turned into something else completely. And so it's hard.
It's hard though. It changes. So I'm excited for what you're putting out. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, it'll take a while. Still writing it.
Megan, you got any personal projects? I'm noticing your nice little craft corner that you have going on.
I'm hoping soon I can start cross-stitching more. I just realized, that I don't have enough colors for all the stuff that I want to do right now, despite this being insane.
I'll get you and Emily in the same room together, and then you can compare notes.
It's perfect. I'm currently doing different Pokemon types to go in our bathroom because I have a little ghost Pokemon type candle in there and a Jigglypuff, so we're just adding on to that. But if I'm okay to, I would like to plug a animal society in Vancouver because they're struggling right now. The Vancouver Orphaned Kitten Rescue Association, VOCRA, they have a huge influx of cats from all the litters from the summer. They're always looking for donations, bedding, funds, cat food, you name it. They are looking. And if you're able to foster and you're in the lower mainland of Vancouver, BC, Canada, reach out to them. They are amazing. I've fostered with them a few times and they help a lot of the cats in the lower mainland. So please go and check them out. And if you can donate, please do.
It's still kitten season, so they definitely need
So
it.
bad,
Sure,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. And always love supporting, adopting through foster programs and other smaller things. My dog Fox, my window in the background, he was foster dog who was adopted through a program. He was just a little puppy when they found him. We're all animal lovers here, and it's always kind of important. And it's as much as we want to get them all home, sometimes we just need to make sure that they're happy and healthy until they find, a friend.
Exactly.
Meg, real quick, settle something for me. Opinions on Squirtle.
I like him, but I am very much a Bulbasaur apologist. So it's fine.
Bulbasaur.
So I'm the only Squirtle person.
Yes,
then.
you're the
All
only
right,
squirter.
fine.
You're the only squirter on this podcast.
Congrats.
It's an arc when I do it.
Me and my partner fight about the Squirtle thing all the time, though, because he's just like, "Oh, we are a water starter household." I was like, "We are a grass starter household. How dare you?"
Like I
That's
said,
the one I'm working on right now.
it's
Is
like,
grass
look,
types.
I realize that I am a Charmander main. I will never say that I'm not, but Bulbasaur is still best boy.
That's
No
fine.
question.
Or best-
Bulbasaur is the cutest.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
no, absolutely. It's why when I bought the plushies that I have in the bedroom, I showed on an episode. It was just like it's Charmander and Bulbasaur. It's just like, what about Squirtle? It's like,
Don't worry about it.
no. So, anyways, obviously, main thing I've kind of been working on a project is TCK Media Productions. It's actually the host for this podcast that we were doing. Essentially, it came out of the fact that, like, I've been working in video production for the last 12 years, but I've been doing it and I wanted to get back to making stuff for myself and actually being more independent in the content that I am making. I've spent way too much money on equipment over the years, including like this camera rig I got right back here, all the audio equipment that you see. But I'm hoping to kind of like grow this out and actually run an actual production business as opposed to like basically, being the production people for companies that don't necessarily know how video production works. It's a process. I'm very appreciative of Seth and Bree, who have agreed to do a podcast and with me again after 10 years. And allow us to kind of like get the ball rolling on content creation again. Been very much appreciated, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love doing it.
Taking time out of your
Sometimes
guys'
too.
weekends just to talk with me on the internet and have me just have everybody in the world be able to watch it if they should. Whether or not they actually do or not is a completely different conversation.
Hey, YouTube Shorts, we get those views.
Yeah.
when YouTube Shorts decided, we had one video specifically that I put on Shorts that got 0 views. And I think it's because I put red pill in the title. To which I'm like,
probably.
to which I was just like, okay, if you're like gonna suppress red pill content, okay, cool.
I'll allow it. That's fine.
Eh,
Probably better.
It's just like, all right, if that's your argument, I'll allow it. But no, so yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on now. Talked about earlier the restoration work I did on my guitar. I'm trying to implement getting into doing my own music again. Been talking with Seth a little bit, picking his brain a little bit. So I appreciate that help. And yeah, it's been great. Which brings us kind of to our next homework assignment. So I know we took a little hiatus from doing video games for good reason.
Okay.
However, I want to suggest that we play Transistor for our next.
Transistor.
So this is a title from Supergiant Games. They're known from doing Hades and other properties. They are an indie developer and publisher. So it's apparently like, I think the game actually is about like 5 to 11 hour playtime. So reasonable to do within a week too.
Nice.
And it's a title that I bought way back in the day. I played a little bit of it, but like I didn't really have time. I love the art style. I love kind of like all the vibes and stuff that they're doing. So I kind of wanted just an excuse to play it and just hear what you think about it.
I'm excited.
It's on Switch.
Okay.
It's on Steam.
Okay.
It's like 5.
That's what I was looking up right now.
Yeah, it's on Switch. It's on Steam. It's actually on PlayStation too. So
Okay, cool.
So you can get it on
PlayStation 2? I have a PlayStation 5.
Well, it's on the PlayStation Store.
Okay.
So I don't know how they run that, but like, yeah.
I think I have a Switch. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere.
Somewhere around
You
there.
also have a PC and Steam account. As a matter of fact, it might be in your backlog as far as you know.
Probably it could be.
But yeah, so we'll talk in a couple of weeks about that. I'm looking forward. I'll probably stream my playthrough of it just as an excuse again to make content.
I
And
love content.
exactly.
Content.
Everything is content.
Yes.
Everything is content. We need to do a watch party one of these days for the next thing we watch.
We should.
I'm down with that.
We'll figure out the logistics of it. Anyways, Megan, thank you so much for joining us from
Thanks
the great
for
land of
having us.
Canada.
Thank you.
We're still waiting for our invite to the commune that we're all putting together. You know,
We still need to build it. Wood's real expensive right now with
Well,
all
like,
the forest fires. So
Bree's gonna be in that country a little bit, so like coordinate with her. Obviously, you're gonna be like right next door
Yeah,
to each
because
other.
Ontario and Vancouver
yeah,
are right next to each
Geographically
other.
makes total sense. It's just like how I could just go visit Seth right now. He's just like right
Exactly.
next door in like 3 different
Yeah.
time zones. But no, seriously, thank you. We appreciate having you on. We also have that Seth23, who you can find on the Tickies of Talkies, typically talking shit about Israel as they deserve to be.
Welcome.
And shit posting.
And shit posting. I do appreciate the late night shit post. That's always fun. We got the Raccoonaloon herself with her cats. You can find her on Gamebird's podcast that she posts every other Monday, so expect the next one on that. You can occasionally catch her on some other social media stuff like Instagram, and maybe
Once a month.
and maybe one
Once a
day
month.
she'll do streaming again, but we're not going to be sure about that. I'm TCK Media Productions on most platforms. That's where you get this podcast as well as other things that I do. I stream on YouTube occasionally. And Meg, anything that you want to plug for your handles?
nope. I'm rarely posting anything.
Hey, we respect that. Anyways, thank you guys so much. We'll catch you guys next.
Bye.
Bye.
Boom.